Welcome to Bible in the Bar. Here we are in Talia's Steakhouse on the Upper West Side of Manhattan with our special guest, Professor Nathaniel Berman, scholar of Kabbalah, international law, and professor in the religion department at Brown University. We're thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 is a very rich chapter. It opens with a description of the pilgrimage festivals. We have the mandate to establish a judiciary, system of justice. But I want to focus for a moment on the end of the chapter and some of the kind of prohibited foreign religious practices. The text tells us at the end of the chapter, Lo titalcha asherah, that the Israelites are not allowed to plan to establish, to set up an asherah, some kind of tree-like object near the altar. I was wondering if you can talk a bit about the asherah, what it is, its significance in religious thought and biblical thought.
Okay. So one of the things that many people are concerned with today is Jews' relationship to other cultures, other religions, other peoples, other languages. And we have a lot of prohibitions in these chapters about imitating the other peoples. And this is an example. It says, do not plant an asherah near the altar. Lo titalcha asherah etzel mizbach Adonai Elohecha. So we know, for example, that the ancient Israelites worshipped asherah. Asherah was a tree associated with a goddess. Asherah is basically the name of one of the chief Canaanite goddesses. And the prophets are always telling the Israelites, don't worship Asherah, don't worship Asherah, don't worship Asherah. So we learn from that what were they doing? They were worshiping Asherah. She was their goddess. So this chapter in Deuteronomy tells us not to plant an Asherah tree next to the altar. So that seems pretty clear. The Zohar, the great work of Kabbalah, asks, what? And can you plant an Asherah above the altar or below the altar? Why is this prohibition next to the altar? And it says this, and this is a very interesting thing, I think, for Jews today. It says, actually, Asherah is a name for the Shekhinah. Asherah is a name for the divine female being that is a very important part of the Kabbalistic pantheon, of the Kabbalistic vision of life. It says, really, Asherah is a name for the Shekhinah. So why can't you plant it near the altar? Because the altar is also a name for the Shekhinah. And if you have an Asherah and the altar, that means you have two goddesses instead of one. And we only have one goddess, right? So it's an amazing thing that in the 13th century, when people wrote the Zohar, they tried to rehabilitate this name for this most prohibited kind of religious worship. And they tried to rehabilitate, and they said, really, there's holiness in this practice. Really, this practice is part of the divine practice. And it's something that really inspires me to say that there was an attempt, at least in one strand of Kabbalah, to try to find holiness in all kinds of practices, even if there's also a certain kind of
distance.
Drawing back from it.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you.